Narration style, letter by letter, word by word. What? Autoplay? No. Music volume. Let's bring that down a little bit. It's a bit loud. Excellent. Really setting the tone here. Sound volume. I don't know what the sound is, so we'll leave it at 50 for now. Text speed. We'll worry about this in a second. Alright, I think we're good. This is Winter's Daydream, as you can tell. There's nothing to tell. I don't know what the fuck this game is. This is 18 plus probably. Let us begin. Now, are they narrating it, or am I narrating it? That's the real question. December 28th, Thursday. Oh, I was supposed to click. It's only the 28th, but snow is falling outside the train windows. I can't already. There wasn't any snow back in Tokyo, though the air was crisp and chilly. Oh, I got a trophy. Trophies don't show up in the stream, so that's gonna just cause issues. Damn it. Though the air was crisp and chilly, cold enough to make you burrow your hands a little deeper into your pockets, it didn't snow. It's different if you travel a little further north, though. It gets colder here, much earlier. Everything is cold in a northern countryside, everything except people's hearts, as my dad likes saying. My dad can be pretty cheesy at times, but he might have a point. I've been living in Tokyo since spring this year. In the beginning, I was excited to get away from the dull countryside I was raised in, but, well, you know what they say. The grass is always greener on the other side, and people are never satisfied. Oh my god, this is so cheesy. When I left home, I soon discovered just how different the city was from everything I used to know. I'd lived in the countryside all my life in a small town with a population of around 15,000 people. I'd taken it for granted that I knew the names of my neighbors and they knew mine. I thought it was normal that our family cat, Tama, would sometimes stay with the elderly Mr. Igarashi? Igarashi? It's either I or I. I'm gonna put Igarashi for days on end because he fed our picky feline better cuts of meat than we did. Damn. It was only to be expected that the clerk at the nearby grocery store would give me a few extra sweet potatoes whenever I stopped by, because he knew my younger sister, Otoko, was fond of them. My hometown was much colder than Tokyo during the winter months, and I can still remember scenes from my childhood where the snow piled up on the roads in fields a full 5 inches thick. Old roofs would strain beneath the burden of the snowfall, and my father would spend his days off work shoveling snow for our elderly neighbors. Minecraft version 2.08 update file is installed, guys, just because you can't see it. No matter how frigid the weather became in my small town, the people would always band together to help one another, spearheaded by gung-ho, eternally optimistic men like my father. In my old man's words, the hearts of the people were warm, even if their hands were cold. Tokyo, meanwhile, is completely different. In Tokyo, the streets are busy and the buildings are big and the people... It's hard for me to describe them. That's because there are far too many of them. Tokyo isn't inhospitable, per se. It's not the most welcoming of places, least of all to a boy like me who grew up in such a secluded environment. I was afraid Tokyo would eat me up and spit me back out again. I think my parents were afraid too. Mom used to call me every other day when I was first settling in. She was forever sending me bags of rice and locally procured persimmons. Not something I eat. Fearful I might be so overwhelmed by my new surroundings I would forget to buy food for myself. That, or maybe she worried I wouldn't know how. Yeah, these country folk can't buy stuff from the city folk. Money's different there. Fortunately, I've managed to make it this far. Though I was awkward and unsure in the beginning, I survived the hostile alien terrain of the big city. I joined the photography club at university and I made several friends. My time in the city wasn't as bleak or as scary as I feared it would be. In fact, I enjoyed it. This is long. 8 months later and I'd managed to make it back to my hometown in mostly one piece, with an expensive new haircut and expensive new shoes and expensive new glasses to show for my travels. My canvas bag lies on the ground at my feet. It's a small bag with only a few sets of clothes and a game console and my camera stashed away inside. I'm only going to be back home for a handful of days. I plan to stay for New Year's, of course, because it's a family celebration, and we, meaning me, my father, my mother, and my younger sister, always go to our local shrine together. But that's it. When the 3rd of January rolls around, I'll be on this old rickety train back home. Rickety. I can't afford to miss the start of the new semester, not even a couple of days, because I'm going to be a doctor. Time I have discovered moves more quickly. Oh, there was a comma there, my bad. Time, I have discovered, moves more quickly in the city than it does the countryside. If you miss a single lecture, you'll be scrambling around for a week trying to recover the information that slipped through your fingers. But sometimes, it's too late. There's not enough time. There's never enough time. I sigh as I stare out of the train's windows. It's very dark, but the stars are particularly bright tonight. I think I can spot just fuck that word. Betelgeuse out of the corner of my eye. It's the 3rd brightest star in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, I don't see that one from where I live. I know a lot about the stars. My grandfather liked to lecture me about the night sky when I was little. I wasn't particularly interested. I only cared about my handheld, but his lessons must have stuck. Can I see any other constellations out the train windows? It's hard to tell. My eyes, despite my brand new glasses, are unfocused. The snow doesn't help. The snowflakes fall slowly and lazily, swirling through the cool night sky like they have all the time in the world. Time, I yawn. Of course it wouldn't snow in Tokyo. That would cause too many problems. It could interfere with the bus routes and the train schedules. Schools... Oh! I have a call. This is not the time, but I'll answer it. Yeah, what's up? Okay, sorry about that. This was very important scheduling stuff. Anyways, where was I at? Schools would be shut, business meetings canceled, and everything would fall apart. All it takes is a day. Time is money. Oh, I thought I was gonna say money is time. I was gonna be like, alright. Can only for it to snow out here in the middle of nowhere, because who is it going to inconvenience? The citizens of my tiny town, with its miserable selection of shops and only one high school? Like anybody cares. Wow, man, don't be pretentious. 15,000 people is nothing compared to the millions who reside in Tokyo. Okay, just sucked her dick. I could feel sleep creeping up on me. My arms and legs droop like unwatered plants. My head feels far too heavy for my neck, so it's been stuffed full of newspapers. That's what we were thinking. With a soft yawn, my eyelids fall shut and my head leans back against my chair. I think I'm dreaming. In my dreams, it snows. It always snows around here. Though I missed my parents a good deal when I went away to Tokyo, I eventually learned how to live without them. I can even iron my own laundry now. It's nothing short of a miracle. I've always been on the short side for my age. I blame my mother's gene pool, with long, feminine fingers and soft, round cheeks. But I'm still 19 years old. I'll be 20 next year. I am an adult. Referencing that it's consensual, though I don't particularly look like one, and we all have to grow up eventually. My parents saw me off at the train station last spring, my heart full of dreams, my head full of nerves. My dad put one meaty paw on my shoulders, told me there was nothing to worry about. You're my son, he said. No matter what happens, you'll do just fine. I have faith in you. Hey, said no father ever in Japan. He's like, you're not a doctor yet? The fuck? At the time, I appreciated this vote of confidence, particularly when I had so little confidence in myself. I like to believe I'm capable of being self-sufficient now, but I still think about my father's words from time to time. His serious tone was quite unusual for my dad who, despite being tall and broad-shouldered like a cop from a film noir, is always cracking terrible jokes. His sudden, supportive attitude was certainly new. Whenever I watched the television with my family on New Year's Eve, huddled together beneath the kotatsu like penguins, my dad would point at the male idols on the panel shows and say, "Look, you, I found the perfect job for you. It's a doctor. Haven't you ever wanted to be a model?" Then he'd laugh and slap his knee, disrupting the top of the kotatsu so green tea spilled everywhere. Sounds fucking annoying. Never imagined I'd one day miss my father, who was determined to poke fun at me at every given opportunity during my formative years, but I missed him more than I expected. As for my younger sister, however, Otoko? Hey you, are you deaf? I asked you to pass me the vinegar. Oh, well, fuck her already. I don't think I could ever miss her. Otoko might be part of my family, but we've never gotten on, despite how similar we look. She, like me, inherited her looks from our mother. Unlike me, however, her feminine charms aren't a source of amusement and derision. Otoko is short and slender, with a face shaped like an egg. We're all eggs. She has clear skin, clear eyes, and that skin's not clear. Clear would, mean it's see-through. Clearly see her. Clearly. And the same long fingers that I have, though her nails are always filed and polished, painted to match her outfit for today. It's a lot of work. She's a pretty girl, there's no doubt about it, but I asked you like 4 times to vinegar, now! Aw, fuck this girl. I'm already mad. She's not exactly nice. In fact, nice is the last word I'd use to describe her. I'm sorry, I was spacing out. I'm tired from my trip. I'm not voicing her over. You do look a little pale. Would you like me to run a bath for you, dear? Ah, it's fine, Mom. I can do it myself later. My mother's always liked coddling people. Maybe that's why Otoko grew up to be such a bitch. I should hope you can do it yourself, being away from home for so long. A man's gotta learn someday. My dad laughs raucously and slaps a hand on my shoulder. Green shakes. Oh dear, if you're that tired, you'd have some more green tea. Might wake you up after your long journey. Bitch, I want black tea. I want heavy caffeine. I want some coffee. I'm a man now, Mom. I went to Tokyo, left you guys here. Black coffee. Mom begins to refill my cup of green tea without waiting for my... Mom, I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for that. Take it back. I didn't ask for it. She doesn't have to play the role of the perfect hostess with me. but telling my mother that would be a fruitless effort. I've long suspected my mother has a unique form of OCD, namely... Damn, he's diagnosing her and everything. Namely, she just can't rest easy when there's food to serve and cups to fill. Yikes. Maybe it's because she's worked as a waitress in the Ryokan for a few years. Or maybe it's because she missed having her family all together like this. Aw. Maybe that is the case. I guess she wants to pamper me as much as possible while she has the chance. There aren't many people as compassionate as my mother, no siree, apart from Mrs. Mishima, perhaps, who used to babysit me and Otoko when we were kids. Oh, please. While my mother is only too happy to attend to my needs, imagined or otherwise, Otoko is less enthusiastic. You can't be that tired, you big baby. Tokyo's not that far away. 6 hours, and my connecting train was half an hour late. Bitch. Oh, poor you. Excuse me if I don't weep with sympathy. At least you get to live in the big city now. I'd kill to be in your position. Let's not talk about killing at the dinner table, dear. Whatever. Otoko rolls her eyes. Emotion is particularly effective given the ring of black eyeliner that frames her deep brown irises. Okay. I get it. I can see. There's a picture. You don't have to explain it, mister. Maybe I should try to diffuse the tension. The four of us might be a family, model example of a nuclear unit. But I have been away for almost a year. It's only natural our reunion would be a little awkward. Can't expect everything to revert back to the way it used to be over a single meal. You don't need to get jealous, Otoko. Don't call me that. Oops. I forgot how much Otoko hates it when people use her real name. Then what the fuck do we call her? How could I forget? She's only bitch, is that the one we're using? She's only chewed my head off about it 1,000,001 times. Ever since she turned 13, she started reading fashion magazines and learned to be self-conscious. Otoko never used to be this much of a brat when she was a kid. Puberty, beyond filling out her figure, did something rather frightening to my little sister. Should I be reading this out loud? Neighbors, just don't listen. She might have blossomed on the outside like a beautiful flower, but her personality is withered on the vine. I'm sorry, Otome. Our family name is Saotome. Otoko prefers to go by a diminutive of that rather than her given name. Well, I can relate. Well, I can't exactly blame her. Otoko inherited her name from our maternal grandmother, and it's a pretty hefty burden to place on a fascist... That's what happens when you mix two words. Fashion-conscious girl like my younger sister, the fascist. While Otoko is written with perfectly innocuous characters, those for sound and girl respectively, it's more commonly used to mean man. Oh, yeah, I guess that is a problem. Otoko says as soon as she leaves home and goes to university, she's going to get her name legally changed. Mom tried to talk her out of it, but Otoko is as stubborn as a goat and nothing can change her mind. That's why it's impossible to argue with her about anything. Anyways, Tokyo's not all it's cracked up to be, you know? Oh, really? Really, it's so big and there are so many people and it can be pretty noisy at times. So are you trying to show off now? No, Oh, it must be so hard for poor little you having to go all the way off to the big bad city while I'm stuck here in this dump with nothing to do for another 2 years. This town isn't so very bad, is it, Otome? You don't want to grow up too soon. Enjoy your childhood. I'm not a child. I just turned 17, Dad. Whoa, pause. Yikes. This better not go where I think it is. Nonsense. You still look like a little girl to me. I can't. Please, you said that even if I was an old as grandma. Oh god. I know what this is about. That's the worst part. That's because no matter how old you get, you'll always be my darling little girl. Dad reaches over and ruffles the top of Otoko's immaculately styled hair. Ugh. Otoko pulls the face and shuffles away, the legs of her chair scraping against the floor. How many times have I told you not to do that, Dad? You're gonna ruin my hair. Dad just laughs. Oh. Dad laughs a lot. I'm not laughing any more than that. I don't have enough energy for that. I yawn, fatigued, but not fatigued enough to forget to press a hand against my mouth. I have no desire to give my family an eyeful of half-masticated nikujaga? I don't know what that word means. Well, we're just gonna pretend like we know what it means and move on. No, on my first day back home. Oh, not on my first day back home. So, Otome, you wanted the vinegar? It's about time. Jesus Christ, man. Even I'm upset. That was like 9 hours ago. That's what I said, like an hour ago. She obviously didn't make this request an hour ago, but I don't point that out. Getting into an argument about semantics would be incredibly childish and petty. And I am an adult now. Oh, that's the second time he's reaffirmed that he's an adult. Here. I slide the vinegar over to Otoko. As expected, she doesn't thank me. I don't know why you couldn't have got it yourself. And reach all the way across the table? Otoko raises an eyebrow. She doesn't say, "What are you, stupid?" But that's clearly the message she's trying to imply. You were closer to it than me, and anyway, you're supposed to be the man. Aren't you meant to look out for your little sister? Bro, come on. Sorry, I didn't think. Don't be a bitch, you. Now there's 2 bitches in the house. And neither of them are doctors. No, well, you never do. I guess some things don't change. It's rare I agree with my sister, but she might be right. It's been many months since I last saw her, but she's still a huge bitch. So honey, we're all curious, what's it like in the big city? You haven't been there a full year yet, but you already look different. Do you really think so? That's right, you've got new glasses, haven't you? And I think you've gotten taller. I look at Mom, hopefully, perhaps a bit too hopefully, and exclaim, Huh? Really? In your dreams. Thanks for bringing me back down to earth with a bump, Otoko. Otome, come on. Come on, man. You just talked about this 1,000,001 times. So, dear brother, why don't you spill the beans? Who says spill the beans? What's it like in the big city? I'm dying to know. Please enlighten us, little people. Well, there's so much. I'm not sure where to begin. I don't really want to begin either. Not with Otoko glaring at me. Her lips purse like she's... you gotta not. Phrasing. Like she's sucking on a bitter melon. Maybe I'm just a bad one here. I'm too tired for all this. That train ride really took it out of me. I must be getting old. A clear stream of water cascades from the tap and drums against the stainless steel basin of the kitchen sink. Basin? I always pronounced it basin. I don't know why I said basin. Glossy soap bubbles dance in the air, shining with rainbows. Tonight's dinner was a veritable feast, painstakingly created for the sake of replenishing your energy after that awful train journey, to use Mom's words. I'm grateful Mom went the extra mile for me. Really, I am. Unfortunately, the sheer variety of side dishes Mom cooked has created a mountain of dirty bowls, pots, and pans. They're all stacked up on the right side of the sink, just like Mount Fuji in miniature, but more precarious, of course. Still, I shouldn't complain. Mom cooked all this food for me. Knowing her, she's probably been in the kitchen since the crack of dawn. She's the kind of person who makes her own dashi, stock, and noodles. No store-bought food for us. I respect that. That's a good mom right there. I'm a very lucky son. Mom went through a lot of effort on my behalf, so it's only right I should clean up the mess my return home caused. Mom tried to wave aside my offer to help. Don't be silly there, you can't wash up in your state. You must be exhausted. But I remained firm, like a man, despite the fatigue that had crept up on me. I was like, Mama, I'ma wash those dishes tonight. I'm a man. For the 3rd time. I hid my lethargy as best I could around Mom, but now she's potted off to the living room with Dad. I can't quite stifle my yawns. The soap bubbles dance before my drooping eyes like something from a dream. Idly, I reach out and touch one. Its shining, spherical surface is slick and wet to the touch. For all of 2 milliseconds before it bursts. It disappears without a trace, as though it was never there. Unfortunately, the pots and pans remain and are not going to go away if I stand here spacing out. If only Otoko would help a little. Mom told her to lend a hand, but... Hey, aren't you supposed to be doing the drying? I don't feel like it, but Mom asked you to help. Maybe she did, but Mom isn't here to tell me what to do right now. Man, she is like big bitch energy. Super big bitch energy. Not like you ever listened to her anyway, or anybody else for that matter. I sigh. I've only been back home for a few hours, but Otoko's already starting to get on my nerves. Look, I've had a busy day. I'll do the washing. The least you could do is run a cloth over these pots and pans. And ruin my nails? No thanks. I just painted them yesterday. I didn't know why you bothered painting your nails anyway. Nobody's gonna see them. Ooh, get her. Shut up. I didn't ask for your opinion. Otoko's sitting at the kitchen table, her head propped up with one hand and the other idly flicking through a fashion magazine. Our cat Tama, meanwhile, is lying in Otoko's lap. The sight stings. I've always loved cats, and I nagged my parents for one the moment I was old enough to form basic sentences. I'm not really sure why I was so obsessed, but the prospect of owning a cat sounded absolutely magical to me during my childhood. I begged and begged and begged until my mother finally caved in to my demands and bought me a cat for my 8th birthday. That was Tama. Tama came with a caveat that I had to look after her by myself, but I didn't care. I was happy to have a cute feline friend of my very own who I would love and would love and cherish me in return. Unfortunately, like most things in life, it didn't quite work out like that. Damn, it's getting real quick. Tama has never liked me. Just like your sister. When she lets me pet her, which is rarely, she does so under duress. Her eyes narrowed and her back rigid, ready to bolt at any moment. Tama has always preferred Otoko, though I'm the one who used to feed her and empty her litter tray. Cats don't know the meaning of the word loyalty. Oh, Fortnite version 2.76 update file installed, just so you guys know. Probably because they're cats, not humans. They don't have the thumbs we do to flick through dictionaries. Whatever. I've often wondered if Tama likes Otoko because they're so similar. They're both temperamental, selfish, and self-centered. Otoko's the only one who can carry Tama in her arms, and the only one who can make Tama purr. Tama's purring right now, in fact, her fluffy body vibrating. The sight is rather cute. I can't read those. It's a shame she never acts cute around me. Am I really that unworthy? Otoko. I try to cajole my sister once more, and she's glaring at me, and I soon realize I've slipped up. Good God, trying to have a conversation with my little sister is like picking my way through a field full of landmines. Sorry, Otome, don't you think this is a little unfair? Life's unfair. But I only just got back home. I shouldn't have to do all the washing and the drying by myself. I don't know why you're complaining. You're the one who volunteered. I know, but you're such a suck-up, you. You're always trying to score brownie points from people by acting like a good little boy. I'm not a boy. I'm nearly 20. I'm a man, bitch. And is there anything wrong with helping others? I don't trust guys who act too nice. They always want something in return. Girl, you're 17 and you fucking stay in the house all day with a cat. The fuck you know. I just want you to help me do the dishes. Yeah, like, this is a conversation about dishes, and I gave you the vinegar. An hour late, but I gave you that vinegar. And the saucepans, and the pots, and the cutting boards, and the bowls, and the plates, and the chopsticks. Alright, I know there's a lot, but come on, I'm doing most of the work here. Because you were so eager to help. Well, whatever, I'll give you a hand, on one condition. What's that? I know Otoko too well, even if I haven't been back home in a while, and there's a painfully high chance her singular condition will be something unpleasant. I hope she doesn't ask me to put wasabi in my eyes. She's threatened me with worse before. But she doesn't threaten me, neither does she ask me to injure myself for her amusement. Instead, she says brazenly, without a shred of embarrassment, I want a present. Wow. Pardon? That's how I'd be like, pardon? Excusez-moi? I said, numbskull, I want a present. And what did you do to deserve a present? I'm not getting it. You're acting like a bitch all day. I gave you the vinegar. Vinegar's not a present? Fuck you. Isn't it obvious? No. Jeez, you're so dense. Otoko rolls her eyes. You went all the way to Tokyo, duh. You should have picked me up a souvenir or two. I wasn't on holiday, Otoko. Ahem. I mean, Otome, sorry. Like I was saying, I wasn't on holiday. I was studying at university, you know, to get a job as a nurse. I mean, a doctor. Maybe a nurse first. I don't know yet. But you were still in Tokyo. Yes, and? I was looking for a bikini, maybe something like this. Otoko turns the page in her magazine and holds it up for my inspection. Are they going to show me it? This one here, too. They're both cute, but they don't sell any nice clothes in this crappy little town. Go to the next town over, then. I have. They never have what I want either, but I'm sure they would in Tokyo. I've heard the boutiques there are huge. They're huge. In the malls, it all sounds amazing. I'd love to go shopping in Ikebukuro? Ikebukuro, or Shibuya. Fuck these names. Clothes and shopping are probably Otoko's second and third favorite topics of conversation, respectively, but clothes shopping beats them out by a wide margin. This one-sided discussion has actually managed to bring a rare smile to my sister's lips. For a moment, she actually looks like a sweet, charming girl, but the moment soon ends. Otoko sighs and leans back in her chair, the legs screech against the floor unpleasantly. Tama's ears perk up. She's always been sensitive, even to the slightest of sounds. Though comfortable a few seconds ago, our finicky cat suddenly gets to her feet, or paws I guess, and hops onto the floor. I've never even been to a mall before. I want to go. It sounds like fun. Malls aren't really that interesting. They just have a lot of shops. That's easy for you to say, now you have all these opportunities. You get to go to a huge metropolis like Tokyo, and you don't even think to bring your little sister back a present? I'd kill to find clothes like this. She points at her magazine again. Around here. You have enough clothes already. It's true, too. Otoko's closet is full to bursting with outfits. She's the kind of person who buys clothes compulsively, wears them once, and forgets about them. Truly, this is a Western decadence at its finest. Hey, I feel personally attacked and offended. But I don't have the clothes I want. We can't always have what we want. Aren't you the one who said life is unfair? You could at least have asked me if I wanted any presents before you came back. Then you could have bought me back something nice. But why would I buy my own sister a bikini? That's kind of weird. Amen. So you don't get me a gift? So you won't give me a gift? It's too late now. I'm already back home. Bitch. Toko rolls her eyes. You could buy it when you get back and have it posted to me later, genius. You douche. Then you might as well order it online yourself. Because I ain't DHL. You're missing the point here. If I had to do that, it wouldn't be a present. And why do you deserve a present? You're selfish. You're so selfish. Super selfish. Big bitch energy. All you do is sit on your behind while I do the work. That's because you offer like a moron. Right, that does it. I step forward to... Do what exactly? I'm not sure. Throwing my wet towel at Otoko's face is the first thing that comes to my mind, but I don't get a chance to wreak my revenge. That's because, at that exact moment... Tama? Something small and furry entwines itself around my unsuspecting ankles. I stagger like a drunkard, arms flying out for support, but there's nothing to grab onto. This better not go the way I think it is. I watch too much to know. I teeter. I totter. Oh god. And then, quite spectacularly, I fall. My behind hits the floor with a dull thud. Okay, we're good. We're clear. My head smacks against the back of the kitchen cabinets while the small of my neck catches against one of the handles. Jeez. This guy's gonna die in his own home. Oh, holy... I curse under my breath. It hurts. It hurts a lot, actually. Tama, of course, escapes relatively unscathed. She gives me a withering look and darts away, her tail held proudly aloft. Otoko snorts. You're such a klutz, you. That's what you get for refusing to buy me, your only sister, a fitting present. I grit my teeth together and count to 10 inside my head. If I don't, I'll end up saying something I regret. Lord help me, I'm gonna kill this person. Otoko really is impossible. The next day, December 29th, Friday. Let me see how much more time I have, actually. 1 second. I guess I could go through another day. Breakfast the next morning is an awkward affair. Otoko, who's sitting opposite me at the table, barely gives me a second glance. Her entire attention is directed at her miso soup with laser-like intensity. Is she really that upset I didn't agree to buy her bikini? Why should I, anyways? Knowing Otoko's taste, the scanty strips of fabric tied together with flimsy strings that she covets would cost more than a meal capable of feeding a whole family. That's so oddly specific to describe a bikini like that. Besides, I have no real desire to loiter around the women's swimsuit section in any clothes store, especially not for the sake of my sister. I know Otoko wouldn't appreciate it, and I didn't go to Tokyo to buy my family gifts. I'm not a tourist, I live there now, it's my home. But this town used to be my home not so very long ago. Things really have changed during the last 8 months. Though Otoko is trying her hardest to avoid me, there's something softly nostalgic about the scene. In fact, it's nostalgic precisely because she's avoiding me. I suppose Otoko's foul temper is too just a part of my daily life. My old life. We used to get on well enough when we were younger, but we haven't for a few years now. You just said that you guys never got along. I don't know why. I don't think I've ever done anything egregiously terrible to her, other than call her the wrong name from time to time. Make that most of the time. Still pondering, I fish a cube of tofu out of my miso soup and pop it between my teeth. Smooth and silky, imbued with dashi stock. It has a deeper, richer flavor than any tofu I've tasted before. Mom watches me expectantly, a small smile on her face. Son, do you like the tofu? I made the tofu myself. Put it in the miso soup. I made it all. I made the miso. I am the miso. How is it, dear? Really great. I return her smile with one of my own. Have you gotten even better at cooking? Oh, stop. You're trying to flatter me. Well, maybe. If you keep it up, you'll get seconds. You see, if you don't... That was the general idea, yes.
Ha ha ha! When did you become such a smooth talker, you? Being in the big city must have taught you a thing or two about flattering the ladies.
Oh please, I'm no lady. I'm old enough to be his mother. I get it, 'cause you're his mom. Ugh, gross. Get a room, you two. Oh, this family's... That's the most I've heard from Otoko during the past 20 minutes. I swear, being with her is like trying to squeeze blood from a stone, but at least stones can't pull faces and call you gross. That is, again, an oddly specific thing to say. Not even the stones in the mythical land of Tokyo. So, do you want another helping of miso soup, honey? Yes, please. I hold out my bowl and Mom takes it, bustling off to the counter to fetch my top-up. And what about the rice? Do you have enough? There's never enough rice. Never enough. I need... Exactly. He knows. He gets it. Well, I guess a little more can't hurt. That's right. You're still a growing boy. You need to eat to keep your energy up, especially now you're back home. Sometimes I worry about you in the city, you. I don't know if you're eating enough or eating the right things. I think he's been eating more than enough, Mom. I mean, look at him. He's fat and plump and succulent. Yo, what do you mean? Isn't it obvious? You're gonna end up like Dad if you're not careful. Well, it's about damn time he started taking after me. I've always thought he was too skinny. Oh, don't you worry. He's looking more and more like you day by day. Oh, by the day. Stop being stupid. Cut it out. I glare at my little sister bitterly. When she was being silent, part of me wished she would say something, but now she's opened her mouth. I want nothing more than her to keep it shut. There are a handful of things in this world that should never be opened, no matter what. Exactly. The first is the sealed-off entrance to Izanami's tomb. Yep. The second are the tubs of my grandmother's homemade natto sauce. Natto sauce. One of those two words. The third is Otoko's mouth. Yeah, you keep that shit closed. Mom hands me my bowl of miso soup, now filled to the brim, and exchanges it for my half-finished bowl of brown rice. Brown rice? I wanted white rice. She goes to the rice cooker, ambling good-naturedly. She hums while she scoops more rice into my bowl, then returns it to me with a smile. Here you go, sweetie, enjoy. Oh, thanks. I try to sound enthusiastic, but my good mood has begun to wane. I poke at a cube of tofu in my miso soup. It bobs like a rubber duck in the bathtub. I know Otoko's trying to get at me. I don't want to give her the satisfaction of winning, but now it's impossible for me to not feel self-conscious. Have I really put on weight? Do I gotta slap a hoe? I don't think I look any different than I did 8 months ago, but Otoko's forever pouring through fashion magazines and peering at a reflection in the mirror. She probably has a better eye for looks than I do. I guess I have been eating out more than I used to. It's to be expected, really, when there are so many restaurants and fast food places in Tokyo, and I live next to a McDonald's that's open 24/7, scarfing lukewarm chicken nuggets at 3 in the morning while working on an essay due later that day in peak student living. Damn. Oh, I thought you said you were hungry, you. Why are you picking at your food like that? I'm fine. Fine, he says. You're going to look like that little yellow monster if you're not careful. Is that such a bad thing? I've always thought he was pretty cute. I meant his version from the first games with the round, chubby belly. Oh, Otoko! It's Otome. You're gonna get in trouble for that one. Hey! Otoko kicks the leg of my chair beneath the table. That's Otome to you. Yeah, you see, there we go. Her kick upsets the table. My precariously full bowl of miso soup splashes all over the table and onto my lap. Oh, yeah, you're slapping a hoe now. It's uncomfortably hot, and I hiss beneath my breath. Oh, Otoko, be more careful. I think you're the one who needs to be more careful, you. Just look at yourself. Look at you, you're so childish, you need to grow up. I think you've grown up a little too much, dear brother. Or not up, but out? She's such a bitch. Why, you... Now, you two, try to behave, please. You're not children anymore. That's right. Be nice to your sister, you. And you get some trouble. That's right, you. Be nice to your sister. Grr. This, my friends, is, they're making a monster here. I grit my teeth together. Being the oldest sibling, I'm always the one. Sorry. Who gets in trouble no matter what Otoko does. My parents are soft on her. Dad always wanted a daughter, I think, so they let her get away with a lot. Doesn't hurt that she's so pretty. I want to stamp my feet on the floor and say that this isn't fair, but I know doing that really would make me seem like a child. I'll have to try and bear it. Or will I? All of a sudden, I'm hit with a bright idea. You know what? I was thinking about visiting Grandma today. Huh? Why would you do a stupid thing like that? To an outsider, Otoko's reaction might seem rude, but I think she has a valid point, for once. Umeko is our paternal grandmother, and our only grandparent who's still alive. She lives even further out in the sticks than we do. If you can imagine such a thing, her house is situated in a village far littler than this town, a good 40 minutes away by train. The train chugs along an old semi-abandoned track that's rusted and overgrown with weeds. There are no buildings for miles around. No streets, no houses, no people, no family, no children, no nothing. Just flat, seemingly endless expanses of fields. I think about 300 people call my grandma's teeny tiny village home. I'm surprised it hasn't been bulldozed over to make room for a highway yet, but maybe the planners in the local government don't even know the village exists. It's so out of the way, more birds live there than people, building their nests in the holy roofs of all the abandoned houses. I used to hate our family visits to Grandma Umeko when I was little, but now I'm starting to think that the peace and quiet of the countryside would be good for me. It'll certainly be more peaceful without Otoko around. I'm being serious. I haven't seen Grandma in a while, and if I let this moment slip by, who knows when I'll next get the chance. Well, are you implying she might die? 'Cause that's fucked up, you. I don't understand why you want to take this chance. We had to go there this summer, and it was so boring. I got bitten to death by bugs, too. Well, you know how it is. She's getting on in years, and I want to see her if, well, just in case. I knew it. Hugh's gonna kill his grandma.
You don't need to worry about that. My mother. Oh. You don't need to worry about my mother. She's a tough old bird. Tough as they come.
I know, but it really has been a while. Weirdo. Well, I think it's a nice idea. Umeka's always been fond of you, and she's only been to Tokyo a few times in her life. I'm sure she'd love to hear how you've been doing at university. Then I'll go and call her right now. Yes, you do that. But do you have any idea when you'll be coming back? I'm not sure yet. It takes a while to get out there, and the trains and buses don't run very often. Maybe they'll all get cancelled, and then you'll get stuck up in the mountains for months and months. Why does Otoko sound so pleased about that prospect? If that happens, I'll change my name to Heidi and start rearing goats. Otoko snorts and rolls her eyes, but doesn't add any further comment. That is, if a mumbled freak under her breath counts as further comment. Just don't stay with your grandmother for too long. We want to spend time with you too. Don't forget, it's almost New Year's. We need to visit the local shrine together as a family. That's what we always do, isn't it, dear?
That's right. The New Year's wouldn't be the same without you. I know my mother's a fun old woman to be around. She's always doted on you, but don't let her take up all your time.
Don't worry, I'll only be gone a day. 2 days at most. That's what you say, but all your days are precious. You're my only son, and I really have missed you. And I'm Grandma's only grandson. I'm sure she's missed me too. More than Otoko has, at any rate. My little sister is reclining in her chair, chopsticks in her mouth, idly pushing a piece of tofu from one side of her cheek to the other. When she sees me looking, she scowls and turns her head away. And I thought little sisters were supposed to respect their older brothers. Why did I have to get stuck with Otoko? I phoned my grandmother after breakfast, and she sounds more than happy to accommodate me for a few days. At least somebody is. Luckily, I don't— Hey, your mom and dad are happy to see you. Luckily, I don't have too much to pack. I was so tired after dinner last night, I didn't have the time to take all my belongings out of my rucksack. I retrieve my bag from the bedside, then make my way downstairs. Tama is meandering around in the entrance hall by our shoes. She sniffed my sneaker curiously, her pink nose twitching, her head cocked to one side. Maybe my scent has disturbed her. Cats are incredibly territorial, and it has been 8 months since I last came back here. Do I smell unfamiliar to her now? Maybe she thinks I'm a stranger, a hostile invader. You're hinting at a lot of things, Mr. Yu. Why do you think like that? Oh well, Tama's never liked me anyways. Shoo, shoo. I wave a hand in Tama's direction as she hisses, scampering off down the hallway. Tail is stuck up in the air like an aerial. And it so often is. Stupid cat. Take a seat on the stairs and slide my shoes into my feet. You could act a little nicer to me, you know? I don't see why she should. You're never nice to her. Oh. I glance upwards, meeting my sister's narrowed eyes. It's you. Jeez. And you say Tama has personality problems? You're the one who should be acting nicer, you. And why is that? You should be more appreciative that I came to talk to you before you left. Duh. Yes, I'm overwhelmed with emotion that a goddess such as yourself designed to materialize before a mere mortal like me. Quite literally, too. I didn't hear Otoko's footsteps as she approached me. Maybe she really did materialize out of thin air. Then again, it's more likely Otoko is so skinny her feet don't make any telltale noises as they touch the floor. Otoko doesn't eat much. She picks at her food daintily, like a baby bird, and pushes things around in her bowl and on her plate, but not very much actually goes inside her mouth. Maybe she's trying to get that perfect bikini body at the end of December. Otoko might not be the nicest of girls, but you can't say she isn't dedicated. So why are you here? Are you gonna beg me not to leave? Will you miss me after all? Ha, as if. I should have known. I just came to give you this, so you don't starve. I got a trophy, it says, present for you. Otoko thrusts something in my direction. It's a small lunchbox wrapped up cutely in a pink and white spotted handkerchief. The handkerchief is tied at the top in a neat ribbon, keeping the separate layers of the lunchbox held together. It's a very sweet gesture, at least. It would be if Otoko weren't scowling, but it doesn't match my younger sister at all. What is she playing at? It's poisoned. Are you really giving this to me? Well, duh, who else would I be giving it to? Ask a stupid question, I guess. Why are you sitting there, gawping? You'll let flies in. Oh, sorry, I didn't expect this. Cutely packaged lunchbox is the very last thing I expect Otoko to hand me, unless the contents are poisoned, of course. You see? Glad you understand. We're on the same page now. Younger sisters in TV shows are usually sweet and doting. They worry about their older brothers, fuss over their health, and make them delicious food. It's a shame these girls only exist inside the TV screen. My little sister is the exact opposite of all that. That's why this situation is so surprising. By any chance, did you make this? No. Otoko rolls her eyes. Mom did, obviously. Oh, right, of course. As if Otoko would ever cook for me. I'm not sure if Otoko can cook in the first place, though a lot can change in 8 months, and even if she could, she wouldn't waste her culinary prowess on me. She hates me. Well, thanks for giving it to me. It's nothing. Mom told me to. If she had asked, I wouldn't have bothered. I figured. Now take it. Hurry, hurry. Otoko shoves the lunchbox in my hand, scowling. She uses so much force, I almost drop it. Now get going. I'm sick of looking at your idiotic face. Well, thanks, I guess. Whatever. I rattle the lunchbox curiously with one hand. I don't know what's inside, but I can hear the sound of food sliding around, hidden from my prying eyes. What could Mom have made for my journey? There'll be rice, no doubt. That's a standard. Rolled egg omelet, too. Maybe small hamburger steaks with fried chicken? Don't shake the lunchbox like that. You'll ruin it. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, what are you waiting for? Run along. You'll miss the train if you don't, and then you really will be stuck with me. Wouldn't that be awful? I open my mouth, ready to retort, but I don't know what I should retort with. I never seem to know when I'm with Otoko. That doesn't really matter, though, because she turns about on her heels and stalks off in the same manner Tama did earlier. If Otoko had a tail, I'm sure it'd be sticking up in the air. I watch her from afar, sighing. Thanks for your concern. Well, I can always look on the bright side. I doubt my relationship with my lovely sister can get any worse. If you're already at rock bottom, there's no place you can go other than up, right? Ha ha ha. My train journey is relatively unremarkable and would be perfectly silent were it not for the rattling of the old train's wheels against the track. I'm one of the only people sitting in this old, juddering car. There's a woman with brown hair holding a bouquet of white lilies on her lap and a man with a young boy, his son, presumably, resting against his shoulder, his stuffed bear clutched to his chest, but that's all. Otherwise, the carriage is utterly deserted, just like the flat, featureless countryside that speeds past us. I stare aimlessly out the windows, which are frosted over with powder snow icing. The rice fields and hedgerows are pure white, all the trees have been stripped of their leaves. The cool wind runs through them, making them shiver. The unused handrests sway precariously above my head. Why are there handrests on an old train like this? Nobody needs to stand. There are always free seats available. Not enough people live around here. There aren't any houses, just fields. The handrests seem like a useless expense, rocking pointlessly to and fro with the motions of the train. It's cold inside the train compartment, and my very exhalation of air mists up the windows. The young boy clutching the bear mumbles incoherently in his sleep, and a strand of drool drips slowly from the corner of his mouth, and his father wipes it away with a crumpled tissue. Bro, you are oddly observant. You're either a stalker or a serial killer, my guy. His tender, gentle gesture makes me think of my mother, and how she would baby me when I was that boy's age. She still babies me even now, though I'm almost 20, but it's really the same. It isn't really the same. I'm getting older and nobody can stop the inevitable march of time. During that long journey, which lasts a good half hour longer than it has any right to, I eat my lunch. Mom did a wonderful job, just like usual. There's brown rice, as expected, my mom's favorite brown rice. My mom favors brown rice over white. She says it has more flavor, accompanied with rolled egg omelets, cherry tomatoes, crispy fried chicken, and slices of apples. Wow, you guessed it pretty well, my guy. Mom used to make lunches like this for me back when I was in elementary school. If I ignore my reflection in a train's window, I could almost fool myself into believing I'm a small child again. I closed the lid on my empty lunchbox and set it onto my lap. Resting my fingers on the box, I turn my head and look outside the window, at the sugary snow clinging to each and every surface. Feel like I'm trapped inside a snow globe, the biggest snow globe ever to have been created. When the train finally pulls into the station with an unpleasant screech of brakes and a flurry of powdered snow, I almost feel remorseful. I was enjoying my journey, and I wasn't the only one. The woman with the lilies jolts, her eyes wide. I think she was starting to nod off, clinging to her slightly crushed bouquet like some sort of talisman. The little boy with the stuffed bear jerks wide awake likewise. He glances about the almost empty train compartment in the abandoned train station and blinks. His eyes fill with tears, then he starts to cry. I don't really blame him. I used to feel like crying whenever my parents took me to this tiny village too. It's so unkempt and run down, it only inspires vague, uneasy feelings of depression. The dilapidated old train station, though station might be a bit generous when there's only one platform, tempers one's expectations for the village beyond it perfectly. It's dull and desolate, and almost entirely removed from the real world. All the same, I think I've gained a newfound appreciation for peace and quiet after living in Tokyo. It's relaxing, even if the young boy's tears aren't. The boy's dad leans over, attempting to console him, but I pay them little heed. I get to my feet, pulling my luggage out from the rack above my head. It's time to get going. My grandmother greets me cheerfully when I arrive at her home. She rattles off all the usual pleasantries while I take off my shoes in the entrance hall, how much she missed me, how happy she is to see me, and how I'm welcome to stay with her for as long as I like. Once her shoes are removed and lined up beside my grandmother's winter boots, she ushers me into the living room. It's not until we're both seated beneath the kotatsu, the heater beneath warming our feet, that she says the fateful line all grandmothers say to their grandchildren when they haven't seen them in a few months. My, you really have grown. Hello, Meko. It's as predictable as clockwork. I wonder if there's some kind of script that grandparents operate from, or maybe an obscure law? As I ponder this, I look down at myself and frown. Have I really grown taller? Oh yes, definitely. To be quite honest, I can't see any difference. I think my grandmother's being a bit too optimistic. She's like, alright, fine, bitch, you're fat. They don't want to say anything. Either that or she's shrunk during the last few months, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility, actually. Strange things happen to our bodies as we get older. I think I look the same as always. Maybe to you, because you see yourself in the mirror every day. It's hard to notice change when it creeps up on you. I guess. It's different for me. I don't see you in 8 months and you shoot up like a bean sprout. I think Mom said something like that yesterday too. Hisaka did? Or Hisaka? Yeah. Then I'd take her word for it. She's a good eye, that woman. That didn't seem to notice though. Well, Kaname wouldn't. He can't see more than 50 feet past his own face. For all of Hisaka's smarts, I don't know if she made the right decision when she married my son. Though, as Kaname's mother, I'm glad she did. He needs a woman to help guide him in my absence. Right. My voice trails off. I'm not sure what to add to that. My grandmother's a strange woman. She likes teasing people, particularly my dad, and she jokes around so often it's hard to tell if ever she's being serious. She reminds me a little of a fox, actually. She's easily as devious. I sometimes wonder how she managed to raise a straightforward man like my father. Anyway, Hugh, would you like some green tea? I can always brew you a cup. I want black coffee, for fuck's sakes. Why does everyone offer green tea? God damn it. Oh, you don't have to. I don't want to cause you any trouble. Translation, I don't fucking want it. Taking care of my beloved grandson is never any trouble. I might be old, but I'm not that old. She has a point. Grandmother Meko might be in her 80s, but she's as energetic as a woman half her age. Her spirit is very much alive, but her body betrays her years. Her fingers are long and skinny, her face ingrained with wrinkles, and her eyes would be horribly unfocused without the aid of her glasses. Despite all this, however, my grandmother pulls herself to a feet with a smile, betraying no weakness. For such an old woman, her tenacity is quite impressive, but I'm worried all the same. You don't need to make the tea for me, I can always help you. I push my palms against the surface of the old kotatsu, ready to get to my feet. She's like, sit the fuck down, kid. She's like, listen here. I'm making you the goddamn tea. You're gonna sit the fuck down and you're gonna drink the goddamn tea. Because I'm gonna make the goddamn tea for you and you're gonna drink the goddamn tea. I don't know why you're trying to get up in my house. In my house is my rules. You sit the fuck down. Now that'll never do. Sit down, dear. You're the guest, and I see you so rarely these days. I want to take care of you while I have the chance. I'll get that tea for you in a moment. Right. Well, thank you for your hospitality. Let me try an old voice. You don't need to be so formal, dear. We're family. Yeah, I can't do that. Ah ha 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 ha. Awkward laughing. Ha ha. Sorry. Ha ha ha. And you don't need to apologize either, you stupid kid. So, catch myself before I can make the same mistake twice, and my grandmother smiles fondly. You really are Hisako's son. She's very polite too. A model woman, in fact. I think you're more like her than my Kaname. Is that a good thing? It is what it is. No matter who your parents are, you're still you at the end of the day. Right. So, the tea. You do like green tea, don't you? I thought you'd never ask. I wanted black coffee. Thank you. You'll have to forgive my poor memory, but it's been such a long time I've quite forgotten. Green is fine. No, it's not fine. You, what are you doing? You, why are you such a pushover? You. Lay down the law. Good, it's all I have at the moment anyway. Oh, never mind. Yukinari always loved my tea, but... Oh well, that's in the past. Now, would you look at me rabbiting on? I need to get that kettle brewing. The work of a hostess is never done. My grandmother pads out of the living room, her footsteps cushioned by her cream slippers. I begin to glance around in my grandmother's absence, letting the heat of the kotatsu soothe my weary feet and aching legs. Oh god, that walking, sound loop is mildly disturbing. This could easily turn into a horror any minute now. My grandmother's home is quintessentially Japanese. The walls are supported with wood, the floor is made with tatami mats, and the doors are sliding screens. This kind of architecture feels almost rustic after my time spent in Tokyo. My apartment in Tokyo has a distinctively Western feeling. There are no tatami floors, and there's not that much wood either. There are lots of smooth, shiny plastic surfaces, however, and I sleep in a bed instead of a futon. This old house is as far away from my apartment as it's possible to get, and it looks the same as always. The same pictures hang on the walls, the same books line the shelves, and the same wooden fruit bowl rests atop of the kotatsu. The only object in this room that eschews Japanese sensibilities is a French doll, and sitting on a small table by a bookcase. The doll has blonde hair, tied back in neat ringlets, blue eyes, fringed with long lashes and small pouty lips. She wears a dress made of silk, real silk, I think, with matching shoes and socks. I think her name is Lisette. My grandparents bought Lisette when they went on holiday to Europe more than 50 years ago. She's been a permanent fixture of this house ever since, even if she is a tad out of place. When she was younger, Otoko used to examine Lisette, brushing out her hair and unbuttoning, then rebuttoning her dinky little shoes. I played with Lisette too, though not quite as delicately as my sister. I used to tip the poor doll upside down, intrigued to see what sort of underwear she had on. Plain white drawers, if you're interested. I'm not you. Sorry. It wasn't particularly exciting sight. Visiting my grandparents was never exciting. This old house reminds me of my childhood of long, seemingly endless summer days where I would lounge about in the shade, trying to keep both the heat and my own boredom at bay. It never worked. Sometimes my parents and my grandparents in Otoko and I would eat slices of watermelon sitting on a wooden veranda outside. The watermelon was grown locally, its firm green skin concealing an inviting pale pink interior studded with little black seeds. We used to sprinkle salt on our slices of watermelon to draw out the flavor, the trick Dad taught me. That was kind of fun, I guess. But the warm summer air thronged with intrusive insects. They buzzed and a bit and sucked my blood, leaving me with little red wheels all over my arms and legs. Wheels or wells? Whales? I don't know. Fortunately, it's too cold for insects right now. My grandmother's home is the same as it was during those long, lazy summer days, but now the windows are glazed with ice and the kotatsu is the focal point of the living room. The kotatsu and the oranges. The pictures on the walls. Lisette on her desk, and opposite the boxy television set. Ah, a single syllable falls from my lips. I was wrong. There is something different about this room after all. A small shrine has been erected on a stand in a corner, a photograph of my grandfather in the center, a few candles around the edges. My grandfather died a little over a year ago, before I went to university. I haven't seen my grandmother since the funeral. I haven't been to her home. I've never seen the shrine. I swallow. Never used to like visiting my grandparents. I knew they were nice people. They always gave me spending money on my birthday and New Year's. That's how he tells if they're nice or not. But I was too young to appreciate their company. Then my grandfather died. He died and I wasn't that upset because I didn't really know him, but it upset me more than his passing did. I didn't know him. How was that possible? I've had plenty of opportunities to talk to him during my childhood, but I never took advantage of them. Instead, I spent my time at my grandfather's home lounging around like a malcontent cat, reading and rereading volumes of boys' manga I brought with me to stave off the inevitable boredom. He compares a lot of people to animals. He said he's like a cat, he said his sister's like a cat, his grandma's like a fox. Maybe that's the real reason why I decided to see my grandmother today. Otoko contributed to my decision, but this is something that's weighed on me for a while. Guilt. I don't want my grandmother to die like my grandfather, as a mysterious, benevolent entity who existed as nothing more than a shadow in my periphery of my life. I want to get to know her a little bit better, not as an estranged family member, but as a human being. She deserves it. She's always been so nice to me, after all. Her and my grandfather. That's sweet. Sorry to keep you waiting, you. My grandmother enters the living room supporting a tray in her ropey hands. Here's your tea. Oh, thank you. Do you need any help with that? Don't fuss so much, dear. Like I said, you're my guest. It's my job to look after you. Now, sit back down. My grandmother slides a cup of tea from the tray and places it atop the kotatsu, beside the bowl of oranges. Thank you. I bow my head, my voice hushed. I wait until my grandmother has placed her own cup of tea down and slid beneath the covers before I take my first sip. Is it good? I switched the tea from one side of my mouth to the other, savoring the taste. I never liked green tea when I was little, but now I've developed a tolerance for it that borders on fondness when the right criteria are met. My grandmother's tea, fortunately, meets all those criteria. The tea has a soft, slightly muted taste. The leaves have been steeped for just the right amount of time, allowing their earthy flavor to seep through the warm water. It's good. Thanks a lot. It's no worry, dear. Yukinari always loved my tea. He said brewing tea was my one talent. Grandpa, huh? Thought it might be insensitive. I can't help but glance back at the shrine. My grandfather looks back at me from behind the smooth, glassy frame that entombs him, a smile on his face. I think it's a nice picture. It would be far too sad if a funeral photograph bore a frown. Though, now that I think about it, I can't remember ever seeing him frown. He's a very cheerful, good-natured person. He swore it was because of the air around here. It's the clearest air in Japan, was what he always told me. It's been a while since his funeral, huh? That's right, it's been more than a year already. It feels like it was only yesterday. I let my gaze drop to the tabletop. The kotatsu's wooden surface is scuffed with age, and it's ingrained with marks even deeper than the wrinkles in my grandmother's face. I wonder how old this kotatsu is. It looks like it's been through the wars, maybe literally. Do you miss him? Of course I miss him. We live in a very quiet part of the world, but Yukinari had a knack for bringing things to life. My grandfather had a loud, booming voice, even when he was well into his 80s. I can still remember him calling out, the sound invading every single nook and cranny of this small wooden house. The watermelon's ready! I wonder how long ago that was. Maybe 5 years? Maybe 10? When I went to sleep, I could always hear him snoring. It drowned out everything. Now, however, my grandmother sighs. I can hear the cicadas in the summer and the wind in the winter more clearly than ever before. Didn't this snoring bother you? Oh, not really. I got used to it. People can get used to anything. Have you gotten used to the wind? Not just yet. Maybe I should amend my previous statement. People can get used to anything when they're young. And when they get older, we grow into our habits, we fall into routines. And when things come along to disrupt that, it unsettles us. It takes longer to adjust. I'm sorry. My grandmother smiles gently. Why are you apologizing, dear? You didn't kill Yukinari. Or did he? The plot thickens. I know, but you have nothing to feel sorry about. Yukinari loved you a lot, you know? He did? Of course. You're a precious grandchild. I'm sure he still loves you, wherever he may be. But he can't give you New Year's money anymore. My grandmother laughed, shaking her head. This is actually kind of sad. I'm not sure whether I should laugh or not. It might seem insensitive, so I take another sip of my green tea instead. That's fine. I'm too old for New Year's money now. My grandmother looks me over, one hand beneath her chin. I suppose you are, yes. You're getting bigger and bigger by the second. Otoko's snide comment about my expanding girth... Yikes. Otoko's snide comment about my expanding girth niggles at me. My cheek turns pink and I bow my head, staring at my lap. Why are you staring at your lap, Paul? I'm not that big. Oh man, I don't know if they meant it that way, but it's coming off wrong. Not big then, tall. Yukinari was tall. And that Kaname... Apologies again. You must take after them. I don't think I'm so very tall. I've always been short for my age. Well, maybe I'm getting shorter. So, how long are you planning to stay here, you? Maybe a day or two? It takes a while to get back, and the trains are all delayed on the way here. Ah, that's right, there's all that snow, isn't there? Hasn't been snowing a lot? Ever so much. The weather forecast said it was meant to snow tonight, too. I wonder if the trains will be even running tomorrow. Seeing Christmas cakes on sales in a supermarket near my apartment in Tokyo, and these depict idyllic scenes, a neat circle of fruit cake with white icing, popped on top, studded with little gingerbread houses and small edible snowmen. The Christmas in the countryside, however, are as far away from that ideal as you can imagine. The snow here can fall thick and fast between the months of December and March. It can even snow all the way into April if the weather is cold enough, and the weather seems to be getting colder and colder with every passing year. Some of the very old houses around these parts, their wooden walls and rafters, worm-eating and worn, actually collapsed beneath the weight of the snowfall a couple of years ago. Their roofs simply caved in, unable to bear the heavy burden of all that pure white snow. It's little wonder that the legends of the fearsome snow woman who prowled the mountains at night looking for lost travelers originated from this area. You'd never find these snow women out in Tokyo. In the city, the temptations that can lead young men astray are limited to pachinko parlors and smoky izakayas. I guess ghosts seem laughable when you're surrounded by so many modern high-rise buildings. It's much more isolated in the countryside, quieter, lonelier. If I strain my eyes, I can hear the sound of the wind whistling through the skinny, denuded trees outside. I shiver beneath the kotatsu. All of a sudden, I feel like a young kid. You can stay here as long as you want if the trains aren't running, though I hope you don't get too bored. There isn't much to do out here, particularly when the snow starts falling. It's fine, I came here to spend time with you anyway. How sweet, if only Otoko would do the same. She prefers to be called Otome now. Oh yes, I forgot. When you get to be my age, you start forgetting things. Just like Yukinari, he was always misplacing his glasses, even when they were on the bridge of his own nose. You seem pretty spry to me. In fact, I think you look even younger than before. Well, thank you. That's very kind. I'm lucky to have a caring grandchild like you. Oh no, it's nothing really. And I mean it. I've had so many opportunities to reach out to my grandparents in the past, but I never bothered. Visiting them in my youth was a painful experience. Even worse than having teeth pulled at the dentist. Then before I realized it, my grandfather was dead. He was dead, and I've never tried to get to know him. That was the wake-up call I needed. My grandparents, though they were born in a different generation of mine, are still human beings. They must get lonely too. I got lonely in Tokyo in my first few weeks of starting university. Even though I was always surrounded with people, maybe I was homesick. I can't imagine how lonely my grandmother must feel now that her husband of more than 50 years has passed. She's been with him such a long time, devoted so much of her life to him. And now he's gone. Vanished into thin air. I get it. Damn. You're really laying on the fields. My grandmother's still smiling, but I do wonder. I glance at grandfather's shrine once more. His photograph looks back at me, his eyes unblinking. Unfortunately, a photograph can't bring back what has been lost. This is just a snapshot of frozen time, forcibly removed from all context, one day to be devoid of all of meaning. What worth will photographs like these have 50 years from now? 100? 500? Who will remember my grandfather when the rest of his family is gone? A knot twists in my stomach. Outside, the wind outside continues to howl. The weather forecast was right. Later that evening, it really does start to snow. The snow spirals through the air in delicate, gauzy flakes like ballerinas and tulle skirts. The snowfall is soft at first, almost tender, as though anxious about whether it should land on the earth or not, but the flakes soon increase in size and volume. Now, at around 9 in the evening, the whole ground has been steeped in white. I watch the snow as it falls outside the window, still sitting beneath the kotatsu. There's so much of it. One could almost believe it's being dumped from the sky by a truck. It'll be a cold night tonight. I nod my head dumbly. The television is on in the background, but I'm not watching it. I haven't been watching it for the past half hour. I'm too busy staring at the snow. Each flake of snow that just passed the window stirs new memories in my heart. It just doesn't snow like this in Tokyo. It doesn't get cold enough. I never thought I'd miss the snow, but now I feel strangely nostalgic. And, hey, you're skipping things. Well, surprises are supposed to be kept secret, you know? I don't want to spoil anybody's fun. Ah ha ha, evasive as always, but that's why we love you, Aina. All women need to have one or two secrets, even those who spend their lives performing. The television buzzes dimly. Images flicker on the screen, but they look hazy and indistinct as though I'm viewing them from beneath a film of water. A man in a gray suit sits on a couch, a group of girls clad in gingham face him. Spoken with a wink that would make any man's heart flutter. If you've fallen for the charms of the adorable Aina and her group, Palette Princesses, please consider supporting their newest release. And again, for any latecomers, what's your latest CD called? Dreaming in December. Do you know that group, you? I turn, tearing my eyes away from the window and look over to the girls who are displayed on the TV. The image on the screen is shaking uncomfortably, like it's being broadcasted live from a boat in the middle of a storm. It's making my head hurt. At least I can make the image out, more or less. There are 5 girls wearing matching outfits in varying colors, green, blue, yellow, purple, and pink. I think the girl in the pink sitting in the center is the leader. Aina, was it? I think Otoko likes that group, but I'm not interested in idols. I don't listen to pop music either, but they look like nice girls. They're very smiley. They have to be smiley. That's how they sell CDs. How cynical. Is that what living in the city does to people? Living in the city. And the internet, maybe? Well, I wouldn't know much about that. Never gotten along with the so-called World Wide Web. My grandmother makes quotation marks with her fingers when she says it, as though the internet is some kind of strange voodoo magic, far beyond her understanding. Well, the people who aren't familiar with the internet, it might as well be voodoo magic. I don't entirely understand how it works myself. Well, it's very simple. You see, the process of internet... Let me stop. It's a good thing I'm studying law, not computing. Ah, so you're gonna be a lawyer. Damn. Proud of you for breaking the mold. Kaname tried to set... Wait. You're not really breaking the mold, I'm sorry. Kaname tried to set me up with one of his old monitors, and Otome lent a hand, but Yukinari couldn't wrap his head around it. I couldn't either. Well, I guess you don't need to worry about it. I try not to. I know I'm just a relic of the past. Oh no, you're not a relic exactly. A fossil, then? Well, you don't need to worry about hurting my feelings, you. I know where I stand. I'm nothing like those girls. What girls? The ones on the television. Those girls look so bright and cheerful, even though they're wearing such short skirts. I never would have been allowed to dress like that when I was their age. My poor mother's heart would have stopped beating. Times are changing. That's right, I'm beginning to notice it more and more. I just can't keep up with you young people. Half of what Otoko says goes over my head, I'm afraid. All this talk about boy bands and fashion and TV machines. You shouldn't pay any attention to Otoko. Her head's as empty as a Halloween pumpkin. You're so cruel to your little sister, you. You've always bullied her. Yeah, you're the real dick here. Me? Bully her? Stare at my grandmother, open-mouthed at this utter fallacy. Has she not been paying attention to the way Otoko treats me, or has she simply forgotten? Maybe she doesn't know because we don't visit her enough, but I think I need to set the record straight. I think it's the other way around. Otoko never has a nice word to spare for me. Maybe she doesn't think you deserve nice words, dear. Oh, why not? You did lock her in our futon closet when you were younger. Oh yeah, I did do that. I paused, shamefaced, myself indignant and anger spent. I guess my grandmother's right. I did do that. It happened so long ago I'd totally forgotten. I think Otoko was trapped in that cramped, musty closet for half an hour until my parents realized she was missing and organized a search party. You say you're getting on in years, but you have a better memory than I do. How could I forget? You caused such a commotion. Well, I guess I used to be a brat when I was younger. Most children behave badly. It's nothing to be ashamed about. I don't know if you ever apologized to her. My grandmother gives me a piercing look. Did you apologize, you? No, but it was so long ago, it's not like it matters anymore. That's what you might think, but these little things can stay with people. Women are incredibly good at holding grudges. Are you speaking from experience? Ah, I'm afraid that is a well-kept secret. My grandmother taps the side of her nose with one finger, and I suppress a shudder. I hope no wayward woman tried to take my grandfather away from my grandmother when she was in her prime of her youth. If she was anything like Otoko is now, I'm sure her vengeance would have been swift and painful. Still, my grandmother frowns, her forehead creases with innumerable wrinkles. I know I'm past my prime now, just like poor old Lisette. Dolls like her used to be exceedingly fashionable back in the day. A lot of people in this village had them. French dolls used to be a status symbol for bored housewives. A little like sports cars, and infinitely more affordable. But now, they're outdated. Time marches on, and it caught up with poor Lisette. Her hair is starting to fall out, and her clothes have been eaten by moths, and she's never quite recovered from the nasty bump Kaname gave her when he was little. Her right thumb's hanging on with a power of hope and blue tack. She looks alright to me. From a distance, maybe. She's nothing like she was in her glory days. She really was beautiful when we first bought her. Believe it or not, I used to be beautiful too. At least that's what Yukinari told me. But all good things come to an end. Sometimes they come to an end much too quickly. I can hear the snow falling in the background above the low, lazy buzz of the TV. The wind whistles about this old house, shaking it to its very foundation. Likely said, I've seen better days. I wonder whether my grandmother's house will one day collapse beneath its own old age and all the snow. What will last longer, my grandmother or her home? I don't know much about my grandmother's past, but perhaps that's because there's so little to know. She was born and raised in a tiny village. She never left, save for the odd trip or two to Tokyo and her honeymoon in France. She never had any reasons to leave either, because life was comfortable here. In all its simplicity, she had no desire to move. Life was simpler back then. Maybe that's because the internet had yet to be invented. It's hard for me to believe, but my grandmother grew up in an era without the World Wide Web, as she calls it. When people wanted to unearth new information, they went to the library or asked around the neighborhood. Progress really is amazing, but people always get left behind. In my grandparents' case, it happened quite literally, as more and more residents of this village began to move outwards in search of new jobs. Can we fuck off with the wind? All the young people left, while their aged parents stayed on. No new blood came in, so this village stagnated. In a few years, all those old people will be no more, and then this place will be completely empty. A ghost village, filled with the carcasses of these ancient, uninhabited houses, just like the discarded shells of cicadas. The population of the cities will continue to swell, while quiet countryside villages such as this will fade away. This village is already, unmistakably, beginning to die. You can see it in how dirty the dilapidated the train station is, how empty the streets, how ramshackle all the old wooden homes. Sounds like this is a good comparison to his grandmother too. In a sense, it's kind of like a simile or a metaphor. It's hardly, or just symbolism in general. There's hardly anybody here anymore. Just the wind and the snow and the stars. I still remember when I first met Yukinohara. Holy shoot, this is still going? Alright, I think we're gonna stop it here. Main menu. I hope it saves. It has a resume, so I'm gonna assume so. Alright, I'm gonna end it here. That's the story so far. We learned a lot. Yu is secretly a killer of some kind. Otome's a bitch. Let's see. The grandma's kinda cool. I mean, not much to say yet. And that's it. A Winter's Daydream, Part 1. Thanks for watching, guys.